Hello, my name is Christopher Bisping. I'm the Dean of the Master of Law and Business Program and a Professor of Comparative Private Law, in particular Consumer Law, at Bucerius Law School, Hamburg. Yeah, a lot of German education is speaking down onto the group. The professor stands on the lectern and gives a lecture. Whereas the emphasis in other countries, and in particular in the United Kingdom, where there are also lectures to convey some of the fundamental areas to a large group of people, but then they are always paired up with small group teaching. And I think at Bucerius a similar approach is followed, so that was one of the things that attracted me here. If you take a more administrative role, then you can to some extent take a step back from teaching and appreciate that the teaching is not done in the ivory tower in isolation, but actually plays out in wider society. And I think, for me at least, I learned not to just consider the academic interest, but also bear in mind that a student's academic success is very often highly influenced by their external circumstances. To be inspired and influenced by both countries, and in particular also the academic insights. How do we do it in one country? How is it done in another country? And that has allowed me to always take a little bit of both an insider's and an outsider's perspective on that particular country, without ever becoming too engrossed and too dogmatic in this has to be done in one way and no other way is possible. I also sleep very well. I can sleep anywhere, so more often than not, I'm asleep by the time an airplane takes off, so therefore I find traveling not too strenuous. To one extent, the two countries, I think, are very similar, and I always think both Germans and Brits like sausages and beer. So that sets us apart from the French, maybe. I think that there are probably greater cultural differences there. But then there are subtle differences. Germans, I think, are more direct in their approach, whereas Brits are a little bit more reserved. Which is not to say that they can't be direct if they want to be, but I think you must have really upset them to get a very direct response. I always find there is a trend in Germany that people want to tell other people what they've just done wrong. So Germans like to improve the world one person at a time, whereas Brits like to grumble behind the back about what somebody has done wrong, but wouldn't tell them. Having said that, Hamburg is probably the most British of German cities, so there you go. It's a small step for me. If we look at it historically, English law is a mother jurisdiction of the common law world, and that's an entirely different legal tradition to the one that Germany is in, for example, which is part of the civil law world going back to ultimately Roman law. On one level, we can say the systems are fundamentally different, have very different structures, very different tools that they use. But very often we find that the outcomes, the legal answers, are actually very similar, if not identical. However, in the future, post-Brexit, it will be very interesting to see how English law might diverge from the European standard. Master of Law and Business here at Bucerius is not only an interdisciplinary program in that it combines law and business studies, it is also a truly international program. So we do not look at any one national system. Due to the faculty, etc., we often take German law as a starting point, as an example, but we are always aware that German law is not the only possible answer. And it is often very useful for any person who studies the law, for any law student, to bear in mind that the answers given by one particular legal system are not the only possible answers. And in my experience, it often helps you understand your own legal system if you are aware that another answer might be possible. And that could then invite us to consider further, is the law as it currently stands the best, or could it be reformed? We should always consider, could we improve the law? Is the law the best that it is? Yeah, I mean, Hamburg must be one of Germany's most beautiful cities in a way. I can think of so many lovely places just walking along the Alster or the Elbe, whatever one prefers. You're always near to water. Hamburg is also a particularly green place, wherever you look, and even though you might be surrounded by rather tallish buildings and standing next to a massive four-lane road in the middle of the city, there will be some greenery nearby. And then you turn around the corner and there might be some rather artful graffiti and some urban grittiness. Whatever takes your fancy, Hamburg will have something to satisfy that interest. So I think just a fantastic place to live and work and study.